Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the garden. Welcome to Garden Conversations with Rose. Today is March 22nd. Today, I'm feeling a little low because on this day, today, the 22nd, marks 20 whole months since my mother, Miss Faye Veronique, would have passed. Of course, we've got to push on. And so I need to register something that had been on my mind for a bit since we last met. Because, of course, you know that we are focusing on women in March in the garden. And our tagline is She Inspired. Of course, we are going to set the premise with some key terms before we continue. So when we hear the word balance, we're thinking about an even distribution of weight to enable an individual to remain steady and upright. We're thinking about a situation where different elements are in correct proportion. We're thinking about placing something in a steady position so it does not fall. When we think of the word justice, we are thinking about being concerned of peace and genuine respect. We are thinking about being fair and reasonable. We are also thinking about the use of laws to redress wrongs and also to punish crimes. And of course, to treat with impartiality, giving what is due. When we think of support, we are thinking about holding up someone, giving them assistance, affording encouragement, agreeing with an idea, serving as a foundation, or showing approval, or even helping. And of course, when we think of dignity, we are thinking about worth and honor and respect, and certainly having a sense of pride in oneself. So, of course, we know that women haven't always been grown ups. They would have been little girls at some point. And so, when we think about our little girls, what is it we have done in society that has not afforded them some measure of balance, something to steady themselves? So very often we hear, we have heard, little girls must be seen. Do not heard little girls have to comply with being nice, being pretty, ensuring that they look good, their hair is well combed, and their appearance is acceptable. And also, they've been told to be quiet, don't talk so loudly, be silent. The idea of being pretty and kind and nice is a good thing. It is okay. It is very good to look pretty as young girls. Sometimes we have to watch ourselves in terms of tone, but the idea of being quiet and silent has, in many instances, caused our young girls to remain quiet about the abuse that they would have undergone from adults. And very often, that abuse starts in family settings. More often than not, when little girls are first abused, it comes from a familiar space, whether it be from being from a neighbor that has been close to the family, or older uncle, a grandpa, a stepfather, an older sibling, a cousin. The idea of being silent has not afforded our young girls the opportunity of being steady. It has wreaked havoc on many a young girl, and oftentimes, when they would have expressed what would have occurred, they are again silenced. Well, it wasn't true. You're just thinking about a dream, or maybe you're allowing the little boys to come around you. Don't do that when the real perpetrator was left to escape the support from the family hadn't been forthcoming. I want to implore us today as we think about balance and support and justice. to ensure that our little girls, before they become women, are afforded that measure of dignity so that they can be steady as they proceed in life. And so, of course, our young girls become teenagers, and then the expectations are even more stringent. They are told to be soft and feminine, and I must admit, and concur that softness and femininity is very noble, even for grown women as well. It is good to be feminine and soft and nice and sweet. That is okay. But when there is an imbalance and when the proportion isn't even, when our femininity and softness becomes a target for us to give in. So in societal settings, when that young girl goes out with her friends and she's told she's too standoffish and she isn't gyrating enough and she isn't letting up and allowing that person to be in her personal space even when she doesn't want to, when she is pressured to give in, her heart sometimes takes the toll. It becomes confused. She goes off on a tangent and becomes unbalanced, allowing herself to be used by all and sundry. There is no support, justice. There is no dignity applied to her. As a matter of fact, she's then called names when she goes off balance because she was earlier encouraged and nothing was done to assist her. She needs balance. She needs balance, and we must apply some justice. We are thinking now about the young female, the young adult who now is in tertiary learning, who now has positions in the church, who now is in the work setting, and there is a lot going on. Thinking particularly now about those young women who go through a tough time during their monthly cycle. They are expected to push through. They are looked upon as not being productive. I once heard very recently statement by a male that having one's period is not an excuse to do work. It is true that having one's period is not an illness, but there are many instances when females go through a hard time during that time of the month. Just recently in the country of Spain, and even more recent in one of our African nations, it has been legislated that time off needs to be given to women who go through a hard time, menstrual leave, paid menstrual leave, for those women who can't work because the burden is too strong. It takes a toll on them emotionally as well. We need to think about balance. Sometimes in the corporate world, when things are done, there is no room for redress. Remember, we gave definitions of justice, punishing wrongs. When there is abuse in the workplace and unwanted advances, we have to think about balance as it relates to women. And then, of course, our young females become mature adults, as myself. And we too, very often, have to do or have to go through some situations. This time, we more often than not tend to be high up the corporate ladder. We have big positions in the church, even in the home settings. We go through some things. Sometimes there are situations of infidelity with spouses. And when spoken to, adult women are told to be patient. Don't rock the boat. In the offices, extra pressure is placed on them. Sometimes they are told that they're too hormonal, particularly when we have menopause kicking in. Sometimes fun is made of those women. As a matter of fact, I read a statement about mature female, where the individual said hormonal old women should not be leading in educational institutions. That individual was speaking from a place of not having the facts, whatever it is. And so they felt it a good thing to touch on a woman and her status as being menopausal with little regard, not even having the facts. We are asked to make sacrifices. Don't be aggressive. When all the time no account is given to the toxicity within which the female has to survive or has to live, and how much that toxicity is infecting the goodwill and spirit of the individual. I want to submit to us that we need to think about balance. We ourselves as women show support. Don't jump on the bandwagon and crucify our females. Of course, we females, as I earlier said, have to take responsibility for ourselves, but we're thinking of being on an even keel, ensuring that proportion is due, proportion exists. Have a blessed day. And remember, it's all about balance. She needs balance, justice, equity, support, and dignity for women in March in the garden.